Welcome to Tea with Tanya podcast. Every week, I'll be brewing up a perfect blend of public health stories, which will include maternal and reproductive health, career and academic advice, self-love, health, and wellness tips. Join me, your host, Tanya. I'm a public health professional working in maternal health. I'm a birth and postpartum doula, a placenta encapsulation specialist, and certified lactation counselor by day. And I'm your average tea-loving millennial and content creator by night. So pour yourself up a cup of tea and join me in the tea tasting room for your weekly dose of inspiration where you are the center of our conversation. This podcast is here to serve you. So come take a sip with me and let's start promoting positive living together. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Tea with Tanya. I'm your host, Tanya. And in this episode, I'll be sharing the story behind my nonprofit organization. So, it's a new month, which is also a new theme. And on this month, we're going to be focusing on reproductive and sexual health, but primarily surrounding menstruation, menstrual hygiene management, and other common reproductive health issues. So that will be the theme throughout this month of May. It's only right because May has a period poverty awareness week, which is from May 22nd to the 28th, I believe. And of course, my organization that I'm talking about, we're going to be having an event that's going to be geared towards period poverty and menstrual hygiene management as well. So that's going to be the theme for this month. We're going to learn about our bodies. We're going to learn about some common reproductive health issues, what we can do to change our lifestyle or change certain things as it relates to our health. And I have some amazing guests lined up for this month. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's get into the story behind Scrub Life Cares. Scrub Life Cares, I'm pretty sure you've heard from time to time that I have a nonprofit organization. I have never really gone in depth as to what we do or how we do it. I've just been saying it in passing. But I could not start this month off or this theme off without talking about this beautiful, wonderful organization that I have founded that I absolutely love. So if you're new here, this is your first episode. Again, my name is Tanya. I'm a public health professional working in maternal and child health and reproductive health as well. I am a birth and postpartum doula. I'm a certified lactation counselor. So I just kind of get away from the maternal, child, and reproductive health space. No matter how much I try, I cannot. And it's a beautiful feeling to be in a space or be in a position now where I actually love what I'm doing. It's a part of me. Sometimes I don't know how to separate my personal life from what I do in the community or what I do for work. So that's that. I'm very, very passionate about maternal health, child health, reproductive health, sexual health, all these different things. Very, very passionate because I do believe that there's always room for us to grow. There's always room for us to learn more. And what I realized that when I think I know something, I don't always know. I've been in this body for 32, almost 33 years. Of course, this is the best month again. My birthday is May. I'm May 26th. So definitely, it's just a really good month. May is just the best month ever, really. So that's essentially where I'm at. That's a little bit about myself. And I will say, before I get into our mission and our vision, I really want to give the backstory as to why or how I started my nonprofit organization. I was born in England, but I grew up in the Caribbean island of Antigua. Beautiful, beautiful island. It is beautiful, just like how it sounds. And I remember when I graduated from high school at the age of 16, getting ready to turn 17. And then I went to a technical college back home for about 2 years. And I always wanted to be a nurse. For some reason, I just wanted to be a nurse because I had family members who were a nurse and I just wanted to help. And I still stand on this hill where I said nurses are the backbone of the healthcare industry. Our nurses, our EMT workers, they're just the backbone of the healthcare industry. But I can talk about that all day. That's what we're talking about today. But I wanted to be a nurse. And I remember vividly when we were in school. At the time, my major was business administration. I will never forget. And I met someone, a very good friend of mine, and I'll give her a shout out to Kenya. We were both taking similar classes at the school that we were going to in Antigua. And I just remember that day vividly. And as I'm talking to you guys, I can see it. I can see that day, or I can picture that day. And I remember we were we both got approved for our green card. I think I had gotten approved for my, I'm just telling my business at this point, but I had gotten, my family and I had gotten our green card, I think a few months prior, and I think she ended up getting hers, around the same time when I did. And we were looking to, of course, further our education, and we were thinking, okay, where are we going to go? We have most of our families that were in New York and New Jersey. So we just started looking for schools. And I remember we applied to CUNY, and that's the City University of New York. And I just remember then us talking and just thinking, okay, when we go and get our education, our college degree, we're going to come back to Antigua and we're going to do XYZ for Antigua. And I remember when I got into the school, the CUNY school, I met a fellow Antiguan there as well. And I'll give him a shout out because I have to. His name is Alson Ogaro. And I remember us just talking. And when we met each other and we realized, okay, we're from Antigua. I'm not going to say how he realized me, but for those of you, if you're from Antigua, you probably know why he realized or recognized me. But I just remember us just talking about the many different plans we want to have. He wanted to have a practice. I forgot what he wanted to do, but I remember I said, okay, now I'm going to have a nursing practice. So we're going to build this big building, and we're all going to be in this building having our own floors. And whatever we were doing was going to be in correlation to the greater good of the community. I will never forget that day. Having all these bunch of ideas. I've been that girl that's having a bunch of ideas, but now I'm actually executing majority of them. And I remember thinking to myself, one, I wanted to be a nurse. I said to myself, you know what, let me get this education, this nursing degree, because I want to go back to Antigua and build a state-of-the-art nursing facility. I don't know why I thought that. And I think this is the first time I'm saying it out loud to anyone besides family, but I wanted to go back to Antigua and build a state-of-the-art nursing home facility where people could come. It was just going to be this big thing. That's what I wanted to do. And I remember failing out of the nursing program by 0.5 points. Every time I tell this story, I have to add that 0.5 point. And I'm pretty sure I'm not even tired of saying that, but I have to just stretch and just put an emphasis on that 0.5 point. But anyway, I remember failing out of nursing school and was just thinking, wow, what was my life like? I don't want to have to wait 2 years to get back into a nursing program, because at the time that was the rule at the school I was going to, and more schools ideally. I remember getting depressed. I remember just feeling sad. What can I do? What is my career going to be like? What is life going to be like without being a nurse? And I had to sit with that thought for a while. And one thing I'll say about me is that I'm very resilient. I've applied to respiratory therapy school, got into that school, did the entrance exam, got into that school, registered for classes, and just realized, you know what, it was just not for me. My heart wasn't in it. I was just wanting to become that so I can be something or someone working in the healthcare field. But I was like, why am I going to waste money on tuition studying something that I have no interest in per se? I wanted to be a nurse. Nothing's wrong with a respiratory therapist or anything, but I personally wanted to be a nurse. And I'm going on and on. So let me just cut to the chase. I had a conversation with my aunt. She told me to look into the public health major. I was like, public health? And, I did my research and ended up finding out about public health and finding out more about the many things I could do as a public health professional. And I applied to Georgia State University, got in, and been on the dean's list I don't even know what I'm saying this, every semester. Just did what I had to do and realized that I could make a difference on the front line without being in an actual clinical setting. And I was well on my way to pivoting, to doing everything that I could to do good in school and just to learn more about the public health profession and see how best I can fit in. And it wasn't until I did a study abroad trip to Uganda, Africa. Let me tell you, when people talk about different moments that are defining moments in their life, or, oh, my life was changed by this XYZ, let me tell you, my study abroad trip, because I always wanted to do a study abroad too, but I never had the opportunity to do so. So this was my time, again, public health, seeking a public health degree, affording me the opportunity to do a study abroad in Uganda, Africa. And let me tell you, that was just the beginning of this new era, this new life for me. We went, and I remember we had several meetings leading up to this trip. Because in the back of my mind, I knew we were going because the focus was alcohol, drug, and sex, all these different things. I can't remember the exact course title, but I remember picking Uganda because, one, I wanted to get to the motherland. I'm going to keep it real and be transparent. I picked because essentially there were two study abroad that I was really interested in. One was the Uganda one that was alcohol, it's like an alcohol based sex, something about that in Uganda, and then the other one was a maternal, child, and reproductive justice study abroad to the Dominican Republic. And I remember thinking, I was like, one of my good friends, her mom is from there. I can go to DR anytime I want to. And, again, even though I had a passion, but I didn't realize I had a passion. My passion was that deep for maternal and child or reproductive health until after. But I was like, you know what, let me choose the one going to the motherland because I don't know when I'm going to get to go to Africa by myself. So let me choose that. That was really my thought process. But anyway, leading up to that trip, we were collecting items. We were donating gently used clothes, or some of us were getting new items to take to the individuals who were living in the slum, and some individuals who were living in a particular village. I think it was called Ginger, a particular village in Uganda that my professor at the time did good work for. So we were taking some of these items to them. And I remember being there and getting off the bus and seeing all these children who, from the outside looking in, we can see, oh, they don't have much, but they were the most joyful. They were happy. They were satisfied with what they have. And I think I was able to relate to that, being coming from the Caribbean, coming from Antigua, and just, I don't know, something about that, the spirit of the people, they just resonated with me. And I remember, I think one person was probably seeing their period, or I think I saw them with their, like, some red spots on the back of their clothes. And I was just thinking, I was like, wow, after we give these items to them, who's going to come in and give them more things when we leave? Like, is there another group that's going to come ever so often? Like, what's going to happen? Like, I remember connecting with one of the moms of the community that we were in, and they were two young kids. I don't know, they held on to me from the minute I came off of that bus. I don't know, I think we kind of have some similar resemblance, but they just held on to me. Such beautiful kids. And we found out that the mom died because the village that we were visiting, they would make alcohol as a part of living, alcohol to sell. And it wasn't the most sanitary or the most safe way to make said alcohol. And the mom had an incident and she passed away. And I just remember thinking, wow, what's gonna happen when I leave here? Am I gonna be able to help them from, like, I just had so many different thoughts. And it essentially, that trip, that experience prompted me to just go ahead and start my nonprofit organization catered towards helping those in underserved communities. Because in the back of my mind, I thought I had to be a millionaire to start this said nonprofit organization. I'm not a millionaire yet, working on it, but I just had an epiphany. I'm like, Tanya, you can go ahead and start. You don't need no $1 million or $1 billion to start a nonprofit. You don't need $1 billion to give back to the community. And that's when I started that's what essentially motivated me to start Scrub Life Kids. And we've had several missions before we got to the one where we're at right now. But, one of my goals was to provide education, was to provide school supplies, was to supply hygiene products and all these different things to members of the community back in Antigua, or also to just donate to the hospital the different items to help the individuals who were in the PICU and the NICU. And that's the neonatal intensive care unit and the pediatric intensive care unit. So I just had all these ideas. And I remember coming back from that trip, talking to my professor, who will be on this podcast very soon, Dr. Jack Cormier. He, my favorite person on the planet. And I remember talking to him about my life plan. What am I going to do after I graduate from GSU? Telling him I want to start a nonprofit. And I will never forget, I sat in his office and we wrote up my 5-year plan of what I wanted to do. And he kept asking me different questions. And every time he asked me something, I kept coming back to either homelessness, or I came back to reproductive health, some way, shape, or form. And I think he was the one who would have mentioned about becoming a doula, all these different things. And I remember talking to one of my very, 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 very close friends, who's a lawyer. Like, she's the person that I'll go to when I have an idea, and she'll take my idea sometimes from A and she'll walk me through the steps to get to Z. Or sometimes, we'll skip a few letters in between and take me to Z. But she always has practical ideas, and she has that business mind. So she's who I would go to first, or after family, or probably first, before, when I have an idea that I think is probably too grand for me to achieve. And I remember talking to her, and we were just talking about, she said, go right ahead. And we were just thinking of names, and that's what birthed Scrub Life Kids. Scrub Life Kids came about because I was a nursing assistant at the time. While going to school, I was a nursing assistant. So I was always wearing scrubs. Like, I had no other form of clothes. If I had an interview for a job somewhere, I had to go buy some sort of work attire to attend, because my life was really all about wearing scrubs every single time. And I was like, I care for people. I love caring about people, or I love caring for people. And then I say, I'm caring for a life. So that's essentially where the name Scrub Life Cares came in. I'm a scrub loving person. I'm always in scrubs from the healthcare standpoint. It's a life that we're caring for So that's what essentially where Scrub Life Cares came about as far as the name goes. But that's a little background about me and what led me to starting my nonprofit organization, Scrub Life Cares, what motivated me, and how I came up with the name. That's how I came up with the name. So I will share a little bit about our mission. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization where our mission is to assist girls ages 9 to 18 and women of all ages in underserved communities by promoting health education. We are here to strive to remove the barriers that prevent women and girls and those who menstruate from accessing the supplies and education that they need to remain healthy during their menstruation and, of course, throughout their daily lives. So, as we try to change the narrative, we are able to empower and educate women and girls and ultimately the world and those who menstruate on the imperative need to increase funding for participants who live below the federal poverty line. So one of our primary focus is to essentially eradicate period poverty. In fulfilling our mission here at Scrub Life Kids, we want to provide an atmosphere that is safe and conducive for learning. We want to provide opportunities that provide support and supplies to women, girls, and those who menstruate during their menstruation or during their menstrual cycle. We want to educate the world on the statistics and data related to what our mission is. And of course, to conduct events to bring awareness about the needs of our participants. So I know you heard me mention that we're working towards eradicating period poverty as well as striving for menstrual equity, promoting menstrual health education, and menstrual hygiene management. So I want to talk a little bit about what period poverty is. Period poverty is a term that is used to describe the lack of access to menstrual products, education, and facilities that are necessary for proper menstrual health or menstrual hygiene management. It is a significant issue that is faced by many women and girls around the world, particularly in those who are in low income or underserved communities as well. So I want to share some reasons why period poverty is an important issue and why my organization is focusing on that as well. And then I'll share some stats with you guys as well. So there's a serious impact on health when it comes to period poverty. It can have a negative impact on not only your physical, but also your mental health for those who experience it. And I always like to tell people we cannot talk about poverty if we don't mention period poverty. Like when you don't have access to menstrual products, those who menstruate, women, girls, and those who menstruate tend to resort to things that are unhygienic. Like, back in the day or even now, even because in 2023, people are experiencing that. People are having to resort to using rags. Some are using leaves or newspapers, which can end up causing infections and other health issues. So that is an impact on the health when you're doing these different things that are unhygienic that can cause more issues for you as a person who menstruates. It's a barrier to education. Period poverty can create barriers to education for girls, women, and I'm gonna say again, those who menstruate who are forced to miss school and even work. Some people are they're forced to miss school or work or may have to drop out because again they don't have access to proper menstrual products or they're having to use menstrual products for a longer period of time. Like you may use one pad or whatever item it is for a long period of time that can end up resulting an infection or some sort of other health implication. So people tend to have academic struggles because they have to drop out of school altogether because they can't afford it. And then we want to think about the stigma and shame that is associated with menstruation that can make it difficult for us to even have this conversation or even express their need. Because many of us, we walk around, we don't know, we think period poverty has a particular look. It doesn't always have a particular look. And I know I'm talking about, let's say, serving those in the underserved communities, but period poverty does not have a look. So that stigma and shame that is attached to women and girls wanting to talk about their experiences or even seek the help they need prevents people from actually talking about their experiences. And then it's an economic impact. Like we talk about inflation in today's society, for those people who are living below the poverty line, the cost of menstrual products can be burdensome. And I even like to use myself as an example. I think, I have a good job, I have a business, I'm doing well for myself, for my standard. I'm doing well. You know what I mean? I'm doing well. And sometimes when I'm having to go to buy a product, I'm like, why is a pack of pads $15? for like 20 or even 12. Like, what am I going to do? What if I was a person who had a heavy flow, or who would go through multiple products in a particular cycle? Like, it is costly. And can you think about those who are even living in poverty or low income household? Like, it's the cost of menstrual products can be really, really significant. And many people, like I always tell people, many people are choosing between buying menstrual products or other necessities like, rent, food, and these different things. And there have been cases where people are having to choose, or they're foregoing going buying their menstrual product because they got to buy a pack of rice, they got to buy some chicken, or they got to buy some veg, whatever they got to buy, because we have to eat. So most likely they will put getting menstrual products to the side because of having to pick and choose, because I cannot afford these items right now. It's sad. It's another issue to address is the human right access to menstrual products, education, and facilities, particularly water facilities, is a basic human right needs. So the lack of access to these basic items, basically, it leads to gender inequality. So that's another reason. When I was doing my research and I came across this thing, it was just mind blowing to me, because at least 500 million women and girls globally lack adequate facilities and supplies for menstrual hygiene management. So inadequate water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities, particularly in public places such as schools, our workplaces, or even health centers, can pose a major obstacle to women and girls. So this is a global issue, and it's one of the reasons why I formed Scrub Life Case, to address these issues as well. I wanted to be able to provide sanitary items to individuals that are in our programs, that are in our communities. And one of the things that I pride myself on is just not only providing the items, because I feel like anyone could go into a community and give someone an item. It could be a food item, it could be a menstrual product. Anyone can give that. But one of the primary reasons outside of donating items is to promote and provide health education, because health education is very, very crucial in our communities, but it's especially important in communities that are underserved, where people may have limited access to healthcare or other resources. So that's one of the reasons why we are big on promoting that health education, so we can know more about our rights, our resources, and what's available to us, in addition to donating these period products so people can have, so we can remove that stress from their lives by having to choose between food, rent, or my period products. So I do want to share some reasons why health education is important, and especially important in our underserved communities. It helps to increase awareness. Health education can help people in underserved communities and people in general become more aware of the health risks and diseases that's out here in our society. It can help us to take steps to prevent illnesses and maintain our health better. So that's that increased awareness about what's going on. Sometimes I'm here and I'm learning. I think I know it all. I don't think I know it all, but I think I know enough. I went to school. I'm working in this field, but I almost every day I learn something new as it relates to reproductive health. When you think about empowerment, health education can empower people to take control. It can empower you to take control of your own health by providing people with information about healthy behaviors and lifestyle choices. You're able to now go ahead and make informed decisions about your health. We can talk about improved access to care. It can help people again in those communities where they don't have much resources. They're able to know their rights. They're able to know what's available to them as well. So overall, health education is a powerful tool for promoting health and well-being in our communities. We can help to increase awareness. We can empower individuals, and we can help to improve access to the various resources that we have in our community, so we can continue to promote and have a better health outcome. That's one of the reasons why I am so proud of the work that we're doing here at Scrub Life Kids, because it's just important. Right now, we have our Grow with the Flow program, and that program that we recently launched back in July of 2022 with our Grow with the Flow program. It is a community-based program that provides health education by way of Health Expose, going into the schools by having different health education sessions where we are able to focus on menstrual hygiene management. We're educating our menstruators about their periods, the significance of having a period, and removing the stigma and having open conversations about periods and hygiene. So that's one of our primary programs that we have right now, is being able to provide menstrual products and menstrual items, hygiene items rather, to those our participants in our program and those in our communities, as well as providing the education. One of the things that we tend to focus on as well, we talk about good touch, bad touch, consent, boundaries, where we're educating our younger girls and those who menstruate from ages 9 up about their body parts, the right terms, and just to create a conversation surrounding your body, because at the end of the day, it's your body. We're also helping our parents, educating our parents, or teaching our parents ways in which they can talk to their children, their menstruators, about period and the different changes that will occur throughout their body. So in addition, like I said, in addition to providing period products or hygiene products, we are heavy on that health education, because we want to promote positive living. We want to, increase awareness, and also just ensure that we can remove that stigma and help and assist those who are in need of these items, so that no one should have to choose between food, rent, or being able to afford period products. So that's one of the reasons why I started my nonprofit organization, and we've been doing pretty good for ourselves, and I'm very proud. It's one of, I call my organization my baby, because it's very important. We talk about sexual health, reproductive health, providing these educations so that these communities can know what is going on with your body, so you're able to recognize when something is not functioning the right way, or when something seems off, because we want to be able to improve the health outcomes of our communities. We talk about family planning, STIs, reproductive health issues. That's what we talk about, common reproductive health issues as well. So that's one of the things that we focus on, and I could sit here all day and talk more. But as we go through this series, we'll definitely be hearing bits and pieces about more of the work that we do here at Scrub Life Kids. But I thought it was best that I started this series talking about Scrub Life Kids and why I'm so passionate about periods. Because for me as well, I tend to think I have period trauma. Like, I remember going to school, getting my period, messing up my uniform, and all these different things. I wasn't as educated as I think I should have been as it relates to my periods. I had older cousins and older siblings, who would have experienced that. So that's kind of where I got most of my education from as well. So it's just doing good in the community to ensure that we're promoting health education, and we're also providing items and hygiene items to those who are in need. So I will leave it here. You will hear more about my story, talking about more of our programs throughout this series, as we talk about many different things. I have some good guests lined up, so I'm looking forward to this series as we tackle sexual, reproductive, and menstrual health. So thank you for listening to this episode of Tea with Tanya, where I've talked about my nonprofit organization, Scrub Life Cares, where we're promoting health education, eradicating period poverty, and promoting reproductive health education. We hope to continue making a positive impact on our community. And I will say, if you are interested in learning more or supporting our cause, I will link the website in the show notes, and I will also link where you can donate, because we do accept menstrual hygiene products and other hygiene products on a yearly basis. I will put those links in the show notes, and any support will go a long way. Like I always tell people, a little will go a long way for us. Thank you for tuning in to the Tea with Tanya podcast. Be sure to tune in next week, where we're going to be talking about reproductive and sexual health. That is going to be a good episode. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the tea tasting room. Thank you.